Hello everybody. This is a review of my MYA-MOE Beansprout Banjo ukulele. Now, I've had this instrument for about 6 months now. I wanted to really get to know it before I did a review, and I've certainly done that. I've played it at festivals, I've led jam sessions with it, I've used it for videos, I've played it with friends. I've got to really know it well. It's a custom instrument that I suppose I had quite a bit of a say as to what I wanted. I discussed it on the phone though with Gordon and with Shah and also with Aaron, who designed the original Beansprout ukulele many years ago. In fact, I had the privilege of reviewing Aaron's own Beansprout uke a number of years ago now at the, I think it was at the Italian festival in Vicenza. I think that video is still on my YouTube channel. But this is my new one. There have been a number of changes to the original Beansprout that Aaron designed. I suppose most notably we've got the tuners. These are peg heads tuners, and they're not an ordinary violin peg. They're actually a geared tuner, a very delicate and intricate mechanism. It's a geared tuner with a 4:1 ratio, and that's just about perfect, at least for me. For tuning, you can tune quickly and easily and very accurately using these. Another change is the radiused fingerboard. The fingerboard is curved like this, which makes it a little bit easier to fret the notes. It certainly feels very, very comfortable. It's a very subtle thing, but it's important. In most other respects, though, it's pretty much the same instrument that Aaron designed a number of years ago. What we have is a pot made up of blocks of wood. This enables the pot to really ring, and that adds a great deal to the depth of tone that we get from this instrument. Let's just have a look at what it's made from. Now, I had a choice. I could choose what the main wood of the instrument was going to be. I rang up MYA-MOE, I discussed this with Gordon and with Shah and also with Aaron. We came to the conclusion that the wood I really wanted was walnut. I think I knew that to begin with, to be honest, but I think I like walnut because I like the look of it, I like the colour, the dark, rich colour, and I like the tone it produces, which is a fairly dark tone, not as bright by any means as something like maple. I also think it goes together very well with the ebony fingerboard and the hardware round here. I think it looks extremely elegant. Other choices that you could make if you were to order one of these would be maple, obviously. That will produce a brighter sound and it will be a little bit lighter in weight. You could choose myrtle or cherry as your main wood for the instrument. I like walnut, and I've not regretted choosing walnut. I wanted it to be two woods primarily, which is the walnut and ebony. Now obviously the neck here, the fingerboard here, could be made from maple, but I chose ebony. I like the look of ebony particularly, and I like the look of ebony when it doesn't have any fret markers on it. I think again it adds a tremendous amount of elegance to the instrument. There are some fret markers down the side, which I use a little bit, but I don't tend to use fret markers that much, certainly not on the front. It's got a custom headstock. Now, the plate here, the headstock plate, is it has the MYA-MOE symbol, the 4 quadrants, but I discussed this with Shah on the telephone at length, and I tried to explain exactly what I wanted, and to be honest, they've done exactly what I wanted, which is to have the 4 quadrants made from walnut, figured walnut, and the grain is going in slightly different directions. So we've got opposite quadrants here are the same, and those two are the same. And it looks very, very nice indeed. I'm very pleased with it. There's a lovely sliver of ebony in between the headstock and the headstock plate, which again just adds a little bit of beauty to the instrument. Now, on a banjo you would traditionally find lots of abalone or mother of pearl or shell decorating particularly the fingerboard. I didn't want any of that. I like wood, and I like the way that woods go together. I think that's particularly true of the ebony and the walnut. Round the pot here we've got walnut going in different directions. The pot is hand turned, and as I think I mentioned before, it rings like a bell. The hardware is nickel plated, and nickel plating means that it will not tarnish so easily. It just needs a wipe down. Your alternative would be to have just plain brass. Now brass will tarnish, but it makes a lovely antique finish when it starts to tarnish, and that looks elegant in itself. I like the bright colour here, the bright look of the nickel plating against the dark woods. The skin is a synthetic skin. It's a Renaissance head, and that works extremely well. I love the opaque look of it. A no-knot tailpiece, which is this small tailpiece here, which curiously you have to use knots to fit the strings onto. The strings are of course my own living water strings. They're the only strings I use now on all of my instruments, or all the instruments I ever play, and they work particularly well on this. Let's see what else we have. Yes, behind the post here we've got a little piece of foam rubber that Aaron puts there. If I just play it to you without the foam rubber, you'll be able to hear what difference the foam rubber makes. Now if I put the foam rubber back in, you can hear that the difference is quite obvious. It makes a much louder sound without the rubber, the foam rubber. The foam rubber though also does something else. It not only mutes the sound and dampens the sound, but it also reduces the sustain of the instrument. So it is a device for changing the tone. These banjo ukes are loud. I think I mentioned earlier that I've used it to lead a jam session at a big festival where we had, I don't know, 50, 100 people there, and I needed to be heard above them, and certainly this did the job. It's a very loud instrument, but it has a great dynamic range too. It can be played quietly, it can be played loudly. I'll just play it quietly for you. Now, it can play quietly, it can play very loudly indeed. But what about different styles of music? Well, I've been finger picking it, but it also obviously strums very well. And you can play a claw hammer. You can play Celtic music on it. You can play pretty much anything. You could play a love song. You can play pretty much anything with it. It fits in with the other instruments very, very well indeed. I'm extremely pleased with this instrument. If you feel that this is the sort of instrument that you would like, you need to get in touch with MYA-MOE, discuss it with them, and they will make you one. I'm very pleased that I could specify some of the things that I wanted on this instrument. I've got the instrument that, absolutely the instrument that I wanted. There are a limited number of things that you can do to this without changing it completely. But this is an instrument now that I feel is right for me. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you're interested in MYA-MOE ukuleles, just check them out on their website. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.